With the NFL season only a few weeks away, I wanted to do a more updated predictions video. My last predictions video was early in the offseason, right after the draft. A lot of things have happened since, so I want to take that all into account while I'm making this prediction video. I will be picking every single game this NFL season. And in this video, I will be going over the AFC West. Going in alphabetical order, we will start with the Denver Broncos. I have them beating the Titans here. Rough matchup for a rookie quarterback. Taking on the Colts, beating them. They lose against the Chargers. They beat the Bengals. They lose to the Eagles next week. But they are able to come back with a win against the Jets in London. Beat the Giants, beat the Cowboys. They lose to the Texans here, but they come back, win 2 in a row, including one against the Chiefs. I think they are competing for a divisional title this year. Unfortunately, they lose to the Commanders. They also lose one to the Raiders, but they win against the Packers and the Jaguars, lose against the Chiefs, and beat the Chargers. For an 11-6 record, plenty good for a playoff spot. I think this defense will be incredible this year. This might be a top 3 defense in the league. And the offense is going to be pretty good alongside them. Likely top 10, at least. They have so much talent on offense, especially defense. I think if a few things go their way, they definitely can win the division. But in this prediction, I have them falling just short of the division crown. But 11-6, still a great season. Up next is the Kansas City Chiefs. They start off the season strong with a win over the Chargers in Brazil. Should be a pretty fun game. I think both teams are pretty good. Chiefs definitely have an edge though. They lose against the Eagles. Super Bowl rematch. They don't get blown out like they did in the Super Bowl, but they still lose just barely. They come back with a win over the Giants. They lose against the Ravens, but they beat the Jaguars. No, they don't lose to the Jaguars. Start off 3-2. Pretty tough start to the schedule. I have 4 of these teams having winning records at the end of the season. Spoilers for the Chargers. Really, the only so-called cupcake game is against the Giants. But that defense is not to be overlooked. So I wouldn't be surprised if even against the Giants it's close. However, they come back, beat the Lions, beat the Raiders. They lose to the Commanders. Some home losses this time around. They lose against the Bills, so they aren't looking great at the bye, 5-4. They lose here. Now they're sitting at 5-5, but they beat the Colts. They beat the Cowboys. They beat the Texans. They beat the Chargers. They beat the Titans. They beat the Broncos, and they beat the Raiders. When it's time for the clutch, the Chiefs usually come through. I have them ending the season with 6 straight wins and a 12-5 record to win the division, but not enough for the 1 seed this time around. We will see how they will do with the 3 seed. A little bit of spoilers for the other AFC division prediction videos. You should go check those out if you haven't already. But this 12-5 record would put the Chiefs in 3rd place. Would be a fun playoff prediction. Totally going to make a video on that. Up next, I have the Raiders, who will open up the season with a loss to the Patriots, but they come back, beat the Chargers, and then lose to the Commanders. Tough matchup. It's going to be hard for the Raiders to win that one, and then they lose to the Bears. Not great, 1-4, but they come back, beat the Colts, and then the Titans. Lose to the Chiefs. Chiefs, always a tough matchup. They go on bye. Lose to the Jaguars. Lose to the Broncos. Lose to the Cowboys. They're able to come back, beat the Browns. Lose to the Chargers. Then beat the Broncos. Unfortunately, lose to the Eagles. And then the Texans. But they are able to beat the Giants. This is not the easiest of schedules for the Raiders. They end up going 6-11 here, but I don't think they are a bad 6-11 team. I just think they got kind of a tough draw this year. Not many easy games. If things go well, maybe they can win 8-9 games. They don't really have that strong of a team overall, but I do like what they have on offense. Ashton Genty should be fun to watch. Brock Bowers should still dominate the league at tight end. They don't have a lot of receivers, but I will say Geno Smith is 100% an upgrade over what they had last year. Defense, kind of iffy. It's kind of why I'm not expecting much from the Raiders, but this should at least be a watchable team this year, which should be exciting. I don't think Geno Smith is a long-term option for them, but I think he can be a good enough bridge quarterback for at least these probably next 2 years, keep things fun, and maybe the Raiders can find a franchise quarterback soon. But until then, they're kind of going to be like middle of the road. And for the last team in the AFC West is the Los Angeles Chargers. As you can see, we already have the first 3 games picked out. 3 straight division games is crazy, and starting off 1-2 ain't ideal, and it goes to 1-3. They lose an upset to the Giants. Losing Rashawn Slater for the season is going to impact this offense a lot. And going up against a team who should have a very good defensive line, that could cause problems, especially on the road. But they do beat the Commanders. They beat the Dolphins. They beat the Colts, Vikings, Titans, and Steelers. But unfortunately, they lose to the Jaguars. A good 6-game stretch here to really recover from this rough start. They are now sitting at 7-4 going into the bye. Solid season so far. Definitely pushing for a playoff spot. They come off the bye with a win over the Raiders. But this is a tough back end of the schedule. Losing to the Eagles. Losing to the Chiefs. Beating the Cowboys. Beating the Texans. And then losing to the Broncos. Their season can definitely fall apart in this back half of the schedule, but I do have them surviving, going 3-3 to end the year, which should have them at a 10-7 record. This should be enough to push for a playoff spot. We'll see how they do in the playoffs. Last year did not go well for them. I think the loss of Rashawn Slater is going to impact this offense a lot. I'm not super high on the defense, but I still think it should be middle of the road. Definitely enough to go up against the losing teams, the winning teams. That's going to be tough matchups all around. Not the easiest of schedules at all, but 10-7, solid season. You at least get to the playoffs. I'm excited to see what they can do with Amarian Hampton. Excited to see the growth of Ladd McConkey. The receiver room behind them does get a little bit interesting. Quentin Johnston, don't even worry about that. In fact, I think Keandre Lambert-Smith might get the start over Quentin Johnston like halfway through this season. Trey Harris, we'll see if he can do anything. Keenan Allen's returned. So we'll see what happens there. But that leaves the Raiders in last place with a 6-11 record. The Chargers come in third with a 10-7 record. The Broncos come in second with an 11-6 record. And the Chiefs defend their division crown with a 12-5 record. You could definitely argue the Broncos have a shot at this division crown. I just can't quite do it yet. I think the Chiefs are just still too good. Even though they haven't looked great over the past few years, they're still like winning a lot. 12-5, definitely not their strongest record, but I definitely think it'll be plenty good enough to win this division. Broncos are definitely a dark horse, though. But let me know what you think in the comments about these predictions. Where did I go wrong? But I will see you guys in the next video, which should be tomorrow. Bye.